What's up guys, Sunsfan here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, not .com. We actually have a Patreon now, that is patreon.com/Dota Alchemy. Lots of cool, wacky, wild perks on there if you want to go ahead and check that out. But in any case, doesn't matter. What matters is this video, and this is going to be about the 3 heroes that I think are incredibly powerful right now that are underrated. 3 heroes that I think you can win a lot of MMR with. 3 heroes that I plan on spamming if I can, because I think people don't understand that these heroes are very, very strong, despite the statistics definitely looking in their favor. But in any case, let's get into the list. Hero number 1, Oracle. So Oracle in the previous patch was considered very strong because he has one of the few good remaining purges in Dota that's on an extremely low cooldown. It can be used on allies and enemies, which means that not only is Oracle good against heroes that buff themselves, like Pugna or Necrophos, he's really good against heroes that debuff enemies, like Batrider, or any hero that has damage over time abilities, like a Jakiro. So essentially, it's a lot of heroes that Oracle hard counters, or at least soft counters. Also, his Q ability, it prevents mobility abilities, which means he's good against Pangolier, he's good against Anti-Mage with his Blink. Any hero that needs to be disabled is going to be bad against Oracle. In other words, in a typical game, Oracle is going to at least soft counter 1 or 2 of the heroes on the enemy team, even if he gets unlucky with the enemy team draft. Fate's Edict totally prevents magical damage and also disarms, which means that Oracle is good against heavy right-click heroes like Sven, like Ursa, but also great against Zeus, Gyro, these heavy magical damage heroes. Between Oracle's Fortune's End and his Purifying Flames, he does a lot of healing, but also a lot of damage, which means he's excellent for fighting in terms of sustaining, but also for doing damage to enemies. His ultimate is probably the main selling point traditionally to this hero. It's basically a giant, super powerful Shallow Grave that also purges. So basically, he's very, very good against any hero that's going to want to use some sort of wombo combo, any hero that wants to lock down one hero and just burst them. You can completely combo break that. It's very, very obnoxious if you're playing a Faceless Void or Magnus against Oracle. As of this patch, Oracle does an immense amount of damage for an extremely low mana cost with his Q ability. This is the big change to Oracle. Basically, he does 120 damage for 75 mana. The only downside to this Q is that it has a very long cooldown, 15 seconds at level 1. So it essentially means you can play Oracle like a Shadow Shaman who's going to do a lot of damage, burst damage, and disable at level 1, and you can just kill people in a kill lane. Or you can play the kind of long, drawn-out winning of the lane like Skywrath just by spamming out your ability, abusing the fact that it's got such a low mana cost. You'll eventually drain the enemy team's regen. The great thing about his Q now, too, is that it's considered to be a leash mechanic, which means that not only does it cancel TPs, it prevents TPs. So if anybody is in range of your Q and you start channeling that thing, if they use a TP, you can just let the channel go and their TP is going to be canceled and then they're disabled, so they're screwed. Or, if they're smart, they won't TP, so for the duration of you channeling and the duration of the Q being on them, they won't be able to TP. So essentially, Oracle has this like 5+ second TP disabler as long as he's in range. For a brief moment, even if they jump out of range or go into trees, Oracle will still have that Q follow. He is absolutely unjukeable, and this is a hero that one of his big weaknesses before was the fact that he couldn't cancel TPs. You would still pick the hero because of his other strengths, but he could not cancel TPs. So, hero number 2, Vengeful Spirit. On the Dota 2 Pro Tracker, Venge has the highest win rate of any hero in high-level pubs, with a 58% win rate. And to put this in perspective, Venge has a higher win rate than Meepo. And this Meepo hero has a 57% win rate, and it's a last pick hero that's usually picked because it's a free Meepo game. So Meepo's win rate is obviously going to be inflated, and the hero is very, very strong. Venge is not a last pick hero and still has a 58% win rate over Meepo. She's really great in a lot of the games right now because a lot of the heroes that are being picked are kind of wombo combo heroes like Faceless Void, Tidehunter, Batrider, and Venge with the swap can completely combo break a fight by just swapping the focus target out of the fight. In the previous patch, if you did that on Venge, you would swap them out. You would die as a result, but it was okay because then your team would go in and win the fight because all they got was a Venge kill. They didn't kill the important hero with the Chrono, with the lasso, or whatever it is, and your team would win the fight. Now, you have 2 charges on Nether Swap, which means Venge has options if she goes into the fight. You can swap somebody out, and then you can swap somebody in and kill them. You can chase with swap. You can swap one of your teammates or swap one of your enemies to get yourself out and save yourself. You actually have options. But if you do die, you spawn a 100% damage illusion of yourself that is going to be able to continue fighting until you respawn. So if you play this hero well enough, you are essentially immortal. You can always farm, you can always last hit, you can always contribute to fights, especially if you build into an aura build, because the illusion, even though it can't use items and it can't use spells, it still gains auras and it does 100% damage, which means if you build into a Deso Vlad's, which is the most common build on offlane Venge right now, you are going to basically be able to swap somebody out of a fight, either start a fight or save one of your teammates and stop the enemy team from taking the fight that they want. You can die, and then you can still contribute almost exactly what you would contribute as if you were alive. This is an offlaner's wet dream right now, the ability to do this. Every offlaner right now is going into fights, trying to bait, trying to act as a frontliner, wasting the enemy team's time, wasting their spells, and trying desperately to survive. On Venge, you don't even need to survive because if you die, you're just alive. Also, if you pick up an Ags right now, because of the 2 charges on the Nether Swap, you have a 5-second cooldown essentially on swap, which is completely unreal if you consider like how many swaps you're actually going to be able to do. You can just chase infinitely if the enemy team tries to run away. So essentially also you're going to have an illusion that can cast spells. So if you die, your illusion is going to be able to chase infinitely as well. Hero number 3, Abyssal Underlord. Underlord is quite possibly the most underplayed hero that is consistently in the top 3 in Dota buff in terms of his win rate. I don't know if it's because he's like a boring as shit hero or because it's just specific Underlord players that are playing him, but it just really seems like this hero is always in the top 3, and yet you never see it in games. And Underlord essentially does exactly what he did before in the current meta, which just is he sits in a lane, he's able to dominate with last hitting and harassing the enemy team because he has Atrophy Aura, which gives him so much damage. He has an ability to harass his opponents while simultaneously pushing the creep wave with Firestorm, and basically this hero just completely controls the lane. And the reason that that's important is because that is what you want in an offlaner right now. It's much like a Sand King, where you can control the lane, you can push the lane if you want, you can pull it back, you can jungle, and then you can scale into the mid game with a bunch of items that make you tanky and unkillable and annoying. So what I'm saying is, even if Underlord did not get buffed in 7.20, which he absolutely did, he'd still probably be a really strong hero in this patch, simply because he fits perfectly with how the offlane meta is right now. With that being said, there are 2 other trends, in my opinion, that benefit Underlord massively. And you probably guessed the first one. Trend number 1, people are massing bracers. So Underlord absolutely loves building bracers and fighting early. It's just that nobody would fight into him before, so maybe it wasn't viable. And that's just because he's at his strongest right after the laning phase ends. Bracers make this hero feel almost immortal, so if you want to run at him in the early game, he is absolutely okay with that because he is very unkillable and does a lot of damage. The second trend that Underlord benefits from is the trend for these tanky offlane heroes to run at the dead lane, which is usually going to be your safe lane after you've taken the tier 1 in the offlane, and you try to keep that tower for as long as possible. With the Firestorm, he's able to push the wave out safely from the trees or even from the lane, and with his ultimate, he's able to just press the ulti and get out if the enemy team goes on him. With all that being said, Underlord did get buffed in 7.20, so he would be good, but he's even better. So in particular, Atrophy Aura is now extremely strong. As you can see in this game, we have Quinn, CC&C, maxing it out. Number 1, the range on it is now 1200 instead of 900, which means that if Underlord is in a team fight, basically everybody is going to have less damage, whereas before you had to be relatively close to people. Number 2, if somebody dies under the effect of Atrophy Aura, and this is the insane change to Underlord, you're essentially going to gain free damage, which presumably in this game is why CC&C is opting to max this ability. He wants to gain this permanently scaling damage. He is an infinitely scaling hero like Silencer or Pudge, so you can basically just build a bunch of tanky items And in the late game, you'll still do damage with right clicks because you've permanently gained damage with the atrophy aura. And you have the atrophy aura is going to be increased, so in fights you're going to have a little bit more damage because of that. And then the Firestorm is great in terms of its percentage-based damage. So this hero just scales so well into the late game now, as if he didn't scale well enough before. That's it for this video, guys. Shout out to CCNC for shit-talking the enemy team and pausing a lot in this game, making it very hard to get some quality Underlord gameplay. But also, on a real note, shout out to our Patreon, patreon.com/Dota Alchemy. If you are looking to support your boys at Dota Alchemy, we'd absolutely appreciate you checking that out and just seeing if there are any of the perks on there that would appeal to you. If not, still appreciate you checking out the page, checking out the channel, like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. I know it's a cliche thing to say that, but apparently, according to people, it helps to say that. People actually do it if you say it, so I don't know, I guess do it. But in any case, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in another one.